Mutants have had a complicated history in the world. As they are the next step into human evolution, they were seen as a species to welcome and one to fear. The X-Men, led by Professor Charles Xavier, fought for both humans and mutants, and they fought valiantly in the Ultron Revolution. Now, years after the war, mutants are a rare breed, as now there only exist roughly 1.2 million mutants across the world. While many X-Men lost their lives, one survived. Jubilation Lee, or Jubilee, as her mutant name was, survived the war as she was sent away from the fight. Now, 30 years old, Jubilee lives in New York as the leader of the new Friends of Humanity, reworking it to be an organization that helps people find new homes for them to live, whether human or mutant. From time to time, Jubilee is recognized from her X-Men days, but has a weight of guilt for not being able to help her friends in the war. However, all of that changes when she sees a girl being chased by robed men. She follows to see a young girl using her telekinesis to knock back one of her abductors. However, she gets held back by another, which prompts Jubilee to take action and use her abilities for the first time in a long time to fight. After the commotion, Jubilee asks who the girl is, and she is revealed to be Rachel Summers, daughter of Scott Summers and Jean Grey. Jubilee doesn't believe her, as she knows Scott and Jean never had kids. Rachel, however, explains that she was 2 months old when the Ultron Revolution began, and to protect their daughter, Scott and Jean decided to have everyone in the world lose their memory of her, so that Ultron would not be able to use her to his advantage. Jubilee then asks who was chasing her, and Rachel explains that the new Hellfire Club is after her. Jubilee is confused, and Rachel uses her telepathy to show a memory of her being caught by the new Hellfire Club, which consists of Esme Kukos, Andrea and Andreas von Strucker, Azazel, and their leader, Shinobi Shaw. Rachel explains that the Hellfire Club need her to complete a ritual that could change the world, and it will very likely end with her death. Jubilee promises to protect Rachel and says they need a place to stay hidden, and Rachel says she knows a place. Rachel takes Jubilee to the destroyed X mansion and takes her down the vault to her home, where she introduces her roommate, Justin Jin, who is the current avatar of the Cyttorak crystal, or more specifically, the mantle of the Juggernaut. Rachel explains the situation to Justin, and he agrees to help them to find a way to get away from the High Hellfire Club. Just then, the trio get alerted by a noise that sounds like someone is there. They are prepared to fight, and they face Azazel, the teleporting demon. He charges at the team, and he is able to take them down until Rachel uses what appears to be the Phoenix Force to kill Azazel. This knocks her out, and as Jubilee and Juggernaut attempt to wake her up, they are both knocked down by a psychic attack by Esme Kukos. Jubilee wakes up in what looks like to be a prison cell with Juggernaut. The pair are confused until they realize they aren't alone. The pair meet Vanisher and Beak, who are also locked up. Jubilee is confused as to why they are there, and Beak explains that they are servants to the Hellfire Club. Juggernaut questions where Rachel is, and Esme Kukos arrives to explain that she is being prepared for the ceremony to unleash the Phoenix. Jubilee asks why they are risking to release a monster like the Phoenix, and Esme explains that they will use the Phoenix to help her find her sisters, as they've been missing for years. Just then, Shinobi Shaw arrives and immediately recognizes Jubilee and says that his father and her had a few fights years ago. Jubilee realizes that Shaw is the son of Sebastian Shaw, the original leader of the original Hellfire Club. Esme says that they are ready, and Shaw orders the twins Andrea and Andreas to bring in Rachel. The siblings bring in Rachel, and they begin to chant a spell, and Rachel begins to scream in pain as the Phoenix begins to make its way to take control. Through the enchantment, Rachel is able to look into Shaw's mind to see that he plans to use the Phoenix to destroy what's left of humanity. Rachel screams to everyone what she saw, and Esme doesn't believe it until she looks into Shaw's mind and sees the truth. Jubilee begs Esme to stop, and Esme uses her powers to move Rachel away from the ritual. Everyone gets knocked back, and Rachel weakly opens the gate that holds Jubilee, Juggernaut, Beak, and Vanisher, and the group come together to protect Rachel. In a fight that leads to Juggernaut and Vanisher fighting Andreas, Beak fighting Andrea, and Jubilee fighting Shaw, which leads to the deaths of Andreas and Andrea. Shaw attempts to grab Rachel but fails as Esme steps in his way. Shaw and Esme get into a fight that leads to Shaw using Esme's sisters as a weak spot and knocking her down, but Rachel uses the power of the Phoenix to kill Shaw. Rachel flies into the sky and releases the power of the Phoenix into the world. Jubilee asks what happened, and Rachel explains that she used the power of the Phoenix to revive the mutant gene. Beak wonders what happens next, and Juggernaut explains that since the Avengers and Fantastic Four have returned, maybe it's time for the X-Men to return. Vanisher wonders if they are capable of living to the legacy of the X-Men, and Jubilee says that legacy isn't something that the X-Men fought for. What they do is fight for mutant kind. Jubilee offers the role to the X-Men, and all except Esme immediately agree, except Rachel promises Esme that they will help her find her sisters because she felt their presence when she was releasing the Phoenix Force. Esme smiles and agrees to join Jubilee's all-new X-Men.